Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing how to properly, safely, and efficiently clean your engine compartment on your car. If you're a professional, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to elevate your engine cleaning and really kind of differentiate yourself from all the other competition. And if you're a DIYer at home, I'm going to show you, again, just give you the confidence on how to get this job done safely without ruining anything in your engine compartment. So let's go ahead and jump into the tools and chemicals and stuff that we're going to need for this job. So we're going to jump into it really quickly here, guys. First and foremost, you need a pair of gloves. You're working in the engine compartment, oil, dirt, all that kind of stuff. Just wear some gloves, keep yourself safe. You're also going to be working with a degreaser. I use Super Clean. I love this stuff. You can dilute it down if you have any concerns of hurting anything. So I really love this stuff, but you can really use any sort of degreaser, but Super Clean is my choice for this. Next up, you're going to need a couple of brushes. I like to use smaller brushes in this scenario just because there's a lot of tight spots in the engine compartment, so I like to use smaller brushes to be able to get in there. The first one I'm using is just a boar's hair brush, and then the second one I'm using is a nice, really super soft synthetic bristled brush. This one's from MaxShine, but I'll link a bunch down in the description. Like Adams has them. I'm blanking on the name, but there's a specific detailing brush brand. They make them, so all really good choice. I like to use the soft one on the painted surfaces in the engine compartment, and then the boar's hair one on all the plastics. Now you can also use a soft bristled like fender brush or wheel brush. I sell one on my site. It's also a really good choice. It's a bigger pad or a bigger brush. So for those engines that have a lot of plastic on them, I like using that a lot. If most of the engine's covered, then I like to use that. From there, we need a stack of microfiber towels, some sprayable dressing, a clean applicator pad, and then as a final tip, I do use Technician's Choice ceramic detail spray, but any quick detailer will work. I like this stuff. It flashes out, doesn't streak, so I really like this stuff. As a bonus, guys, I will touch on this later in the video, but this little tool right here is what is going to set you guys apart from a lot of the competition. Now, the way I'm going to show you how I'm cleaning this engine compartment is just your basic, easy way. I'm going to be using a pressure washer and compressed air. You can get away without a pressure washer and without compressed air. I'll show you some tips and tricks on that as well. But just if you're using your hose, just use it on a kind of a hard spray setting, just so you can knock everything loose. And then instead of using compressed air, you can use a leaf blower, or you can just turn the engine on, let that kind of heat up, and just wait. You just got to wait for it to dry, but not a big deal. So in this situation, guys, I'm not using a steam cleaner. Why don't I use a steam cleaner on this? Well, personally, I think using this method is much faster for getting the bulk done. And then this little guy is an extremely good way to get in there and get all the really tight spots that you would normally go with a steamer for. However, this thing is extremely cost effective, way cheaper than a steamer. We can use a steamer. I just like to use this guy. So that's it for the products, guys. Now let's go ahead and go to the car and get into this engine compartment, and I'll show you guys how it's done. But first, guys, if you enjoy these types of videos, anything related to car detailing, tips, tricks, how-tos, and product reviews, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. Now let's go over to the car. All right, guys, so the first thing you want to do when you're cleaning your engine, you definitely want to wear gloves, right? Because you're working with stronger chemicals and all the dirt, grease, oils, all that kind of stuff in here. So just to protect yourself, throw on some gloves. Next thing you want to do is go ahead and assess the whole area. Figure out exactly what you are expecting, what kind of result you want. This is a newer vehicle. This is a 2019. It's just extremely dirty and dusty in here. Not a lot of oil spills or anything like that. However, this process will be the exact same for more soiled engine compartments. As you can see up here on the top surface, on the underside of the hood, I don't have any sort of fabric up here. Some cars you will, and basically, again, this will still work. You just want to be careful on that. You don't want to degrade that if you don't have to, because then it'll start to flake and all that kind of stuff on you. So just be careful on that. Next up is taking the necessary precautions that you want. Now, with most engines, the main thing you're going to be worried about getting wet is the alternator. You don't want to get too crazy in general, but the alternator for sure you do not want to get wet, because it can fry it out and then you're in big trouble. You don't want to ruin your alternator. So mine's right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a microfiber towel and cover it. Now again, the microfiber towel is still going to get wet, so I'm going to be kind of paying attention to where I'm spraying the water especially, and just making sure that I'm not spraying it too heavy right where this alternator is, because yes, the microfiber towel is covering it. However, it can still penetrate through the microfiber towel and still get wet inside. It's going to reduce it, but you can still get wet. So we're just going to make sure to cover that, and then we're good. Okay guys, so step number one, I'm going to go ahead and rinse the engine compartment down. Just get anything that's loose loosened up even more, and also rinse off the underside of the hood. Now, I think it's really important to note this part. You saw me spray it from this front direction. Now, come in from other directions as well, so that you're getting every angle of all these different little compartments, like the air box and all that kind of stuff. They all have these little grooves, and if you come in at different angles, you're gonna blast all that stuff out. So now I'm gonna come over to the passenger side and shoot across. Again, being careful where the alternator is. Now I'm going to go over to the driver's side and do the same thing back towards the passenger side. Okay, so we are good to go there. Now at this point too, guys, if you have any leafs and all that kind of stuff up here in the engine cowling, you can either vacuum them out, take some compressed air, blow that out, or hit it with the pressure washer and blast them out that way. Okay, so next up, we're going to be using Super Clean. Now this is just straight out of the bottle. I'm not diluting this. You can if you're concerned with it, but I'm not concerned with it at all in this situation. You want to be careful not to try and prevent it from going onto the paint. So just kind of spray in kind of close, but we're going to do the same exact pattern here. I'm going to spray from the front, then I'm going to go over to the passenger side, spray back this way, go to the driver's side and spray back this way. Now I'm not worried about this because it's already wet. It is diluting this product a little bit as well. So I'm not worried about it hitting the painted surfaces in the engine bay. All right, so that's good. And then we're gonna come across again from the passenger side. Cool, and then from the driver's side. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and let it dwell a little bit. I don't want it to dry on the surface, but I'm gonna let it dwell for maybe a minute. And then I'm gonna go in and agitate using some brushes. Now I have a basic boar's hair brush here that I'm gonna use on the majority of the surfaces, all the plastic pieces. And then I have a really nice soft synthetic brush here that I can use on the painted surfaces. Now, if you're not worried about that at all, like in this situation, I'm really not, so I could just use the boar's haired brush the whole time. But since I have both, I'm gonna use both. So you just want to come through and agitate everything, get everything nice and loosened up. Add a little more Super Clean if you need at certain points. So as you can see, there's a lot of dirt and stuff in here, so I'm gonna make sure I get in here and agitate all that stuff. Again, being mindful of that alternator here. This towel is pretty dry still, so we're good to go. Okay, now for the painted surfaces, I am going to switch over to the synthetic brush and just lightly go over everything nice and soft. And now at this point, I'm going to take a microfiber towel, spray on some Super Clean onto it, just directly onto it. I'm going to wipe out all this crazy dirt, kind of thicker built up stuff that's on the underside of the hood. So you just want to use it to loosen it up. Okay, so that's all good except for a couple little spots right at these little holes that are still thicker on there. So I'm going to spray a little bit more Super Clean on there and go in and just pay special attention to those little spots. Now that that's done, I'm going to take the Super Clean and just kind of give a light dusting over everything again, just to help prevent it from actually completely drying onto any surfaces. Again, you don't want this stuff to dry on there, so just by adding some more product, you're going to keep it wet and you'll be good to go. And then I'm going to do the underside of the hood as well really quickly. Now again, guys, I do recommend, because this is going to get overspray onto the lower portion of the engine cowling, a little bit onto the windshield, obviously some of the fenders are going to get hit. So I always recommend, if you're doing your engine, do it first and then wash the car after. Okay, now that all that's done, we're gonna go ahead and rinse it off. I'm gonna start from the top, let all that water fall down, and then we'll go into this. We're gonna be doing the same patterns again, from the front, from the side, from the other side. As you can see, guys, I'm actually rinsing down the fenders as I'm going as well, just so that no super clean dries on that. In most cases, this is where the engine's pretty much clean and we're good to go. But if you want to get deeper into spots, now, like I said, this is pretty much just a visual cleaning, right? The top surfaces are clean, all that kind of good stuff. After it dries up, we will condition all the hoses and all that kind of stuff to help prolong the life of the hoses, just keep them nice and saturated. However, if you want to go deeper, you want to get in deeper, I have this cool little tool here. This is a little engine cleaning tool. Hooks up to compressed air right here, and then has a siphon tube that you can drop into whatever cleaner you want, and you're able to go in and get in deep into any spots that you missed at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how that works and hook it up. So I'm just gonna be using the Super Clean once again in this situation. I am gonna open up the bottle though. I'm gonna dilute it a bit. I'm probably gonna cut it half and half now with water. Just because it's a direct input, I wanna dilute the product first. Okay guys, hopefully you can hear me okay over the air compressor. It's a nice quiet air compressor, so I think you'll be okay. So I have it hooked up to my air hose, and you can see this little trigger here, and we're good to go. So now I'm just gonna take the Super Clean that I've added water, it's diluted down. I'm just gonna drop the end of the hose into the solution. Make sure that we're getting enough contact. Okay, and you can actually adjust how much product is coming through along with this unit. So let me go ahead and test it. There we go. Okay, so when you do that, you're gonna wanna prime it. You'll see the solution start coming through the tube. We're good to go now. You'll see it spray. There we go. So I'm gonna go in and do my fine tuning now. Just be careful with the hose. Maybe keep it over your shoulder or tucked in between your legs to keep it up off the paint. All right guys, so this little tool is really gonna be what differentiates you from the competition, or if you're just at home doing it yourself and you want it to be an extremely detailed, deep cleaning of your engine compartment, get one of these guys. I'll have it linked down in the description for you below. Fantastic tool for getting the job done as best as you can. Now that all the product's done, you do want to rinse it off again, so I'm going to go ahead and shut everything off and then we'll rinse it down. One last note guys is after you use this, you'll want to run some water, just put some water in the siphon tube and let it blow through so you're keeping the unit clean. Okay, now I'm just going to grab a couple of clean, dry microfiber towels and start wiping everything down to dry it. And then we're gonna come back across once this all the heavy lifting is done, just with the microfiber towels absorbing the water. I will come back with compressed air. You can use compressed air, you can use a leaf blower, all that kind of stuff. Just anything that's gonna help you dry out the engine faster so that we can get to conditioning it. Now, I'm not concerned yet with the top. I'm just gonna let this kind of sit. So we've got some light spots all done. At this point, guys, I'm going to pull the towel out from the alternator. Do not forget to take that out. Do not forget to take that out. Very, very important. I'm gonna say it a third time, do not forget to take out the towel, otherwise it could get wrapped up when you start the car in all the belts, and then you're in for trouble. So make sure to remove this. So now that the heavy lifting has been done with those towels, I'm gonna grab the compressed air and start blowing it out. And now that this tool has already been rinsed out and clean and it's just dry, blowing just air now, let me get the moisture out of it. Now it's blowing just air. This is a fantastic tool to use to help dry it out because you can get into those deep spots and blast out all the water. So here we go. Okay, so I've blown out as much as I can. Obviously it's water, it's still dripping around and all that kind of stuff. So I want to get it completely dry before I apply my dressing. I'm going to be using a water-based dressing in this situation. So any water that's in there, when I spray the water-based dressing, it would dilute it and ruin the effect, or give a inconsistent effect, actually kind of leave some streaks if there's too much water in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to start the engine, let the engine heat up and dry it out from internally. Okay, so now I'm just gonna let the engine run for a couple minutes, and then we'll come back and dress this thing up. Okay guys, so the engine was running for a little bit now. It's 99% dry, so we're gonna take our water-based dressing. Sprayable dressing here is the thing that makes it the easiest. And again, we're gonna follow that same pattern. Shoot from the front, cover everything, go to the passenger side, shoot across, driver side, shoot across. And I'm not too worried about the alternator at this point. Don't spray it directly, but any overspray from this product is not a big deal. This is also a good opportunity. I didn't clean up there, but a good opportunity to clean your engine cowling as well. Getting a nice fine mist like this, guys, is really what gives you a nice, good, clean finish so that it's not too thick. You don't have to wait for it to dry too long. We're just gonna let that sit a little bit now, and then you can come in and fine tune with a microfiber towel or even an applicator pad with the product and rub it in. And once again, now guys, I just started the engine. Doing that, once again, is gonna create heat in the engine compartment. It's gonna help dry out that water-based dressing faster. It's also giving any opportunity for any moisture that got into the alternator to dry out, and so you're completely safe. So while the engine's running and it's drying it out, I will grab the compressed air and just go and blow out all the tight spots again that got some, a little bit too much of the dressing in it, just to help the drying process. All right, now the engine's been running for a while. I took the compressed air and blew everything out. It's pretty much all done. I'm just gonna take a clean, dry applicator pad now. Keeping it dry, not adding any dressing to it. I'm just gonna use this to buff out the bigger plastic pieces now. So we get a nice, consistent, clean, even finish on everything. This just helps to absorb some of the leftover stuff and gives us that perfect, like new look. Once everything dries, it'll go down to a little bit more of a matte or a satin finish, and we'll be looking perfect. Now for the very last step, all the engine's done. It's clean, it's dressed, everything's good to go. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of you can use a quick detailer. I'm gonna be using Technician's Choice Ceramic Detail Spray because I love this stuff. I'm just gonna apply it pretty heavily to a microfiber towel. I'm gonna wipe out the underside of the hood and then any painted surfaces in the engine compartment, and we'll call this thing done. Okay, so that is it. Engine compartment's all clean, absolutely perfect, just like a new car. Now, one of the more important things to note, guys, when you're using dressing in the engine compartment, I always use a water-based dressing for 2 reasons, okay? So let's go ahead and touch on those 2 reasons. Number 1, I have a lot of mechanic friends. They absolutely hate it when they open up an engine compartment and they see it's all dressed up. The reason for that is typically that someone used a solvent-based dressing on it that gets kind of sticky or slimy and all that kind of stuff. They get in there, they get messy, the bolts are all slick, not great. But with the water-based dressing, it dries out, it just leaves a nice clean finish. It doesn't add a bunch of slime onto it and all that kind of good stuff. So water-based dressing is very important for that reason. Reason number 2 is if you use a solvent-based dressing, this isn't a huge problem, but when you go to start the engine, it may smoke a little bit. It's just burning off the residual whatever chemicals from that dressing, and it'll smoke for a little bit until it dries off, and then you're good to go. But if you're doing this for a customer, you have to let them know, otherwise they're gonna be like, hey, what the heck did you do to my engine? It's smoking, it's not good, right? But if you just use a water-based dressing, you're avoiding those issues. I still, just as a extra precaution, I will let customers know, like, hey, I dressed up the engine compartment, I used a water-based dressing, but if there's any sort of smoke coming off, it's just the dressing burning off, just as an extra precautionary step. But that's it, guys. Like I said, using that water-based dressing that's sprayable makes the job 10 times easier. Using that special little tool that I have linked down in the description for you guys, this one here, fantastic tool for getting in, fine-tuning, getting in deeper than your competition, and really making a difference, and not just cleaning the top surfaces, but actually getting in there and getting the whole thing cleaned up. So that's it, guys. I hope that video helps you. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one.